Hello and welcome to another lecture of the course Aquaculture. In continuation to my previous lecture, today we are going to take up the second part of fish feed ingredients and their proximate composition. In previous lecture, we have discussed plant origin feed ingredients. Now, here we are starting with byproducts of aquatic animal processing industries. So, fish meal is the most popular among this, among all the aquatic animal processing industries or byproducts, or in fact, one of the most important fish feed ingredient is fish meal. Fish meal is the clean, dried ground tissue of undecomposed whole fish or fish cuttings, either or both with or without the extraction of part of the oil. Crude protein is 72.3%, crude fat 8.4%, fiber only 0.7%. This is for the herring fish meal. But here we can discuss a little bit about the whether we need to use fish meal in our diets or not, fish feed or not. Keeping in view the demand of fish meal for inclusion not only in fish feeds but in other feed of other animals being farmed, land animals being farmed, there is huge demand of fish meal. And to meet this huge demand, we often use the whole fish. Fish. Many of the industries they capture the fish from the oceanic resources, and then they are used to prepare the fish meal. And the argument what we get is that the fishes which are having short life cycle or which are reproducing very quickly, so we are just removing those fishes and using them for preparing fish meal, because that is of the highest quality fish meal. Oily fishes which are having short life cycle, they often argue for that, but they are excellent food items to be consumed directly by human beings. So there are strong environmental concerns by a number of researchers that we should limit or stop using fish meal from the whole fish caught directly for preparation of fish meal. In fact, if we have to prepare any meal, then it should be from the discards or dressings, after dressing what is left. So all those kind of things can be used for preparing the fish meal. Then here herrings are used. Herrings are excellent for human food also. Herrings they use, they even use mackerel, sardines, pollocks. So all these are very good food for human beings. So we should try to minimize the inclusion of fish meal in the diet, that especially in the diet of fishes which we are going to consume as food. And if we are using small fishes for feeding to the large fishes which we are going to consume as food, but those small fishes could have been directly consumed by certain sections of poor people who are unable to afford the big high priced fishes. So that is a need of concern that I just wanted to share here. Now proceed to the next ingredient. Crab meal is the undecomposed ground dried waste of the crab and contains shell, viscera and parts of all the flesh. Or all the flesh. Crude protein here is 33.9%. That is quite good. You can use this if you have. Condensed fish solubles is obtained by evaporating excess moisture from the stick water aqueous liquids resulting from the wet rendering of fish into fish meal. Crude protein here is 32.3%. Shrimp meal, we can have shrimp. Processed residue meal is the undecomposed ground dried waste of shrimp and contains parts or whole shrimp. Crude protein here is 38.5%. Shrimp head meal is produced by taking the waste byproduct of shrimp processing, primarily the heads, and then drying them through methods like sun drying, oven drying, boiling or steaming before grinding them into a meal form. Crude protein here is a bit high, 46.6%. Squid visceral meal is produced by processing the internal organs or viscera of squid, typically from the byproducts of the canning industry, through a process of cooking, pressing to extract oil, and then grinding the remaining material into a fine powder. Such type of things are good if you are using it for human food and then using the byproduct. Blood meal is produced from clean, fresh animal blood, exclusive of all extraneous materials such as hair, stomach contents, etc. Blood meal may be dried by several processes, but most often by spray drying. Here, protein content is too high, 85.5%. But I will give you a word of caution here also, that as I told you in my previous lecture on fish feed ingredients and their proximate composition, that fish feed ingredients should not only be selected on the basis of what is the protein percentage, which is usually our major concern while preparing feed for fishes, but you should also take care of other things, right? Like what is the digestibility of that product, whether that ingredient has required palatability for inclusion in fish feed, whether the fish will feed on the feed in which you have included blood meal. Palatability is low for the blood meal, reported palatability is low, especially if it has been overcooked, and then digestibility is also not good. And even in this 85.5% protein, the essential amino acid balance is also disturbed. So it's not only the crude protein content you are seeing. Go and check all the required parameters that can influence the digestibility, the efficient utilization of that protein, or for that matter entire feed, and only then select one appropriate ingredient. So be it blood meal or be any other meal, whether of plant origin or animal origin, you will have to first the criteria of availability being byproduct, it's not being directly consumed by humans, and then cost effective. It should be cost effective, and then it should be abundantly available throughout whenever you need to prepare the feed. So if all these criteria are met, then you should also look for the nutrient contents and the nutrient utilization part is also very important. So if the ingredient fulfills all the criteria that you are looking for, only then select the ingredients. Hydrolyzed poultry feathers meal is a product resulting from the treatment under pressure of clean, undecomposed feathers from slaughtered poultry. Crude protein here again 84%, but again the same things I will repeat, that whatever I have just spoken while discussing the previous slide, the blood meal, the same thing applies for all the ingredients, in fact for this also. Meat and bone meal is the dry rendered product derived from mammalian tissue, exclusive of hair, hoof, horn, manure and belly contents. Here crude protein content may go up to 50.1%. Poultry byproduct meal consists of the ground rendered clean parts of the carcass of slaughtered poultry, such as neck, feet, undeveloped eggs and intestines, exclusive of feathers. Crude protein here can go as high as 59%. Then we have terrestrial invertebrate products. What are these? Any insect larvae, pupae have been used traditionally as supplementary feed items by small scale farmers in many Asian countries, and together with snails and annelids offer a potential non-conventional feed source. These non-conventional feed source should be explored on a regular basis from different regions. Sometimes we may come up with some very good ingredients, these are the ingredients. If you include them, some of them have the potential to be used as feed attractants. So if the feed, your feed which you have prepared is not having good palatability, if you include a small portion of these meals, then maybe the feed will become palatable to the fishes that you are culturing. So, silkworm pupae meal, maggot meal, earthworm meal, polychaete worms meal, and there are many other categories. Silkworm pupae meal is made by harvesting the leftover pupae from the silk production process, then cleaning, killing them, usually by boiling or soaking in a solution, drying them, removing excess fat through solvent extraction, and finally grinding them into a meal form, powder form. And crude protein, here you can get very good protein, but again and again, there should be enough research support regarding the utilization, the utility of an ingredient into fish feed. There should be researches on nutrient utilization of these ingredients in a variety of fish species. Only then they must be included for getting best results. Maggot meal is made by harvesting maggots, fly larvae, from a suitable substrate like animal manure or food waste, then washing, killing them, drying them thoroughly, and finally grinding them into a powder form using a mill. They also have very good protein content, 43.2%. Earthworm meal, they have often been used as one of the attractants that I was talking in order to increase the palatability of the fish feed. Is made by collecting earthworms, cleaning them, drying them, and grinding them into a powder. Crude protein, here you can get 56.4%. Polychaete worm meal is produced by harvesting and processing polychaete worms into a meal form, typically through a process of collecting them from the wild or cultivating them in controlled environments, then cleaning, drying, grinding them into a powder form. Crude protein here is quite high, 55%. Now, a compiled table of proximate composition of various animal meals and byproducts. Here you can see that fish soluble is having protein 55.9%, shrimp head meal 46.6%, crab meal 33.9%, squid viscera meal 50.3%, then animal meals byproducts of terrestrial origin, blood meal 85.5%, feather meal 84%, meat and bone meal 50.1%, poultry byproduct meal 59%, silkworm pupae meal 55.1%, maggot meal 43.2%, earthworm meal 56.4%, then polychaete worm meal 55%. So, they are having very high protein content, and if you compare for other things, fat content has is showing variation. That depends on according to the procedure that you are preparing the meal, whether you are extracting the oil or not, or to what extent you are extracting. Then ash contents and fiber contents, they should also be taken into account. Single cell proteins. Then we have single cell proteins. Here also, single cell protein is a term applied to a wide range of unicellular and filamentous algae, fungi, and bacteria, which can be produced by controlled fermentation process. Advantages of single cell proteins. Their production can be based on raw carbon substrates, which are available in large quantities as wastes from other industries, which otherwise cause an environmental hazard. The majority of microorganisms cultured are highly proteinaceous. They have a short generation time. They can be cultivated in limited land space and produced continuously with good control. Proximate composition of various single cell proteins. How they show the proximate composition. Brewer's yeast 46.1% of protein, fungal biomass 44.4%, spirulina 62.1%, chlorella 47.2%, methanol substrate 73.1%. So, there are many unconventional sources and the sources which are not traditionally being used, but they have the potential for inclusion in the preparation of fish feed. So, that's all in this lecture. Thank you so much.